So this is 3 Giacchino scores in a row. Michael Giacchino is always a win. I held off for so long because I do feel like he reuses stuff sometimes, but let's be honest, they all do it. And the man has scored some of the best films. And not just, oh, Giacchino is great by association, he added to each film. The repetitive strings pounding into your head, building tension with very little on screen. Sawyer has some anti-stormtrooper aim, our first bit of sweet tech that is just about the last thing to 100% work correctly. And you know the only way an assassin is getting the jump on him is like this. Dude jumped off a building and recovered quick enough to kill this goon. Wouldn't be a Mission Impossible movie without at least one IMF agent dying in the opening, also hugging. Clearly, it's Ethan. Rock bouncing like this takes crazy spy reflexes and skill. But something that's awesome about Mission Impossible movies is that you just never know who's wearing a mask. Oh, Simon Pegg. At least he has a little remorse after throwing that guard to the wolves.
Мать твою!
Ha! Apologies to my Russian fans, probably should bleep that, but I'm not sure the subs were censored. Subtitle censoring. Yep. Tom Cruise is always a win. I know, it's so dumb, but that little knowing smirk. You show me someone who can convey volumes with a look like that, and I'll tell you how they're always a win.
Go to the extraction point, Ethan. Go to the extraction point!
And here's where this movie takes its first step up. You know there's an action set piece coming, they all open with one. You know it, Ethan knows it, Benji knows it. These movies hook you with that knowledge so well that we're cool with the little funny teammate nonverbal squabbling. Also, did Tom get extra beefy for this entry? Tom Cruise's workout routine. And here is that action set piece with Tom proving that 49 was the new 34, but that was after he proved that 34 was the new 25. Also, 7 minutes in and he hasn't said a word, but we always know what he's thinking. Man, that's a big boy. What's he like, 5'9", 5'9 and a half? Whew. Apparently you haven't met Ethan Hunt. Oh, right, you're calling him Sergey. I take it back, that tech works pretty well and is pretty ingenious.
Light the fuse.
When else is a silly line like that gonna give you chills? Huh, inside look at the self-destructing phone booth. Nice of Ethan to check before accidentally murdering Bogdan. Bird, you sly fox, this is an animation. I always get a little sad that Josh Holloway dies in the beginning and then am pleasantly surprised when we get this prolonged flashback.
Hanaway's lens cam drew a facial match and triggered a warning.
See what I mean? Sweet tech, but this is the start of the spy gear trying to kill all the spies. Phone must have some blurred lines on it.
Infiltrate the Kremlin itself.
Mildly surprised face.
This message will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
This is the riffing I was talking about in my Incredibles video. I get the feeling Brad Bird thought it would be too rote to just have it be like his other version of this scene. And as cool as Mr. Incredible is, no one can Fonz a self-destruct like Ethan Hunt. I mean, at some point they're going to run out of highly secured impenetrable landmarks for Ethan to break into, or Tom Cruise won't be able to do these movies anymore. Nah, they'll run out first.
This is very exciting, being out in the field. With you know.
Expanding Simon Pegg's bit part because it's the funniest part of 3. Check. Simon Pegg nailing the reason he's here. Check.
Love your disguise, by the way.
Compliments. One of my favorite things about Ethan is how he doesn't ever act the way actors generally act when in disguise or undercover to remind the audience that they're sneaking around. He looks everyone in the eye, stands tall, and just exudes confidence.
I'm sorry, by the way, about you and Julia.
Everyone always wants to talk to Ethan about his relationships in the middle of missions. Okay, between your standard passcode decryptor unscrambler, your little iPad camera extender, and the water droplet sound thrower, SpyTech is sweet. But holy crap did they break the mold with this algorithmic hallway fake-out expanding space blanket thingy. That's definitely the name in the manual, by the way. This may be the coolest tech to date, and more importantly, is such a callback to Mission Impossible 1. The silence and tension of sneaking around like spies are supposed to do. And can you imagine how that would make you feel? Projections like this are never perfect. You'd think you were going crazy. And the guard is realistically suspicious the entire time. Who goes first into the vortex of insanity? And let's be honest, Tom Cruise sprints like a champ. Ooh, I don't usually give score transition wins, but ooh, was that smooth? From Giacchino's action score back to the traditional sounding Russian choral score. Yeah, call back to MI1 with the reversible jacket. Also, I just don't get sick of these disguise removals. Holy crap-oli. While yes, Tom Cruise does sprint like a champ, that's an insane explosion. And since he was actually in the explosion this time, he got realistically hurt, versus blown onto a moving train or into a car. Oh, come on, that's fantastic. As it takes his brain a second to translate the Russian, which of course your brain goes into hierarchy of needs mode after something like this. Hey, little lip-reading continuity from the last film. They're really tying it all together this one, aren't they? Oh, that's good stuff. You can just barely make out Ethan getting up when the detective turns around. like a ghost. Protocol.
Not a good idea.
Seemed like one a minute ago.
I'm pretty sure Jason Bourne was on this exact building ledge in Prague, and he had a way better... Oh, you're going to zipline. Okay, never mind. Sorry, Bourne. Ethan did better. Man, just a simple jacket, boots, phone grab to remind you how awesome our hero is.
Rendezvous, Alpha 113.
Again, Bird? You sly bird. It's probably insulting to any real artists, but of course Ethan is good at facial sketching. Guys, it's Ethan Hunt. He's like the all-encompassing wish fulfillment genie.
Wait here. Where else am I gonna go?
I don't know, you could bow and arrow your way out.
How'd you know that would draw their fire?
Played a hunch.
So true. Logically, why would someone shooting into black water think that someone trying to escape being shot at would ever light a flare? But adrenaline and chaos make people do dumb things, and it's a perfect illustration of how Ethan operates. It's more about the feel of a situation.
I didn't assume they were thinking. I assumed they were shooting at anything that moved. I just gave them a target.
But also hold on to that gave them a target line. It comes up later.
Rundle scanner!
Even something as simple as hopping a train has to be IMF'd. JJ, how many times do I have to say get out of the editing room? You had your chance. Give me that data reading retractable computer table.
But life goes on. And what little remains is made stronger.
Okay, Ozymandias, you sound totally sane. Someone else comes to mind too. Let's say if 50% of everyone was killed, would that work?
Nuclear war might have a place in the natural order, only if it touched every living soul equally.
Totally sane.
And you want to alter its infrastructure, convincing two people that they had a meeting which actually really never happened.
Realism meet optimism.
Ducks.
Pressure sensitive. Not enough time.
Elevator shaft.
Infrared sensors. Not enough time.
You can't blame him. He can do this stuff, but if there's an easier way...
Easy way to remember, blue is glue.
And when it's red?
Dead.
It's like red light, green light, but it takes longer to die. No. But still, come on. This is crazy cool. And as you can all guess, Tom was really out there climbing the Burj Khalifa. They had to remove something like 26 windows just to get all the coverage. And it's so clearly real with the glass bouncing against Tom's hands and the reflections of the cars driving down below.
Yeah, what the hell is that?
It's a sandstorm.
But what kind? Like a what? What? Stop it. I can't hear you. Listen, Gloves, you've got one job. You don't have to keep anyone's hands warm or clean or even protect them from hot things. You just need to stick. But let's be honest, that glove was just a hindrance for Ethan anyway. And thank goodness for Ethan's Elastigirl arm transplant earlier today. No pretense this time. No planning, just Ethan Hunt plus danger plus suspended precariously from rope equals win.
Your line's not long enough!
Astute observations.
No!
Eloquence. Oh man, this is why you need a good team. You can't always be perfect. Saving Ethan's life. Also, file this stunt under unnecessary risks taken by Tom Cruise due to his unimpeded devotion to realism. Real building, real Tom, real concrete below. Oh, and that little defeated Mission Impossible theme cue. Always a fan of an impossible camera movement. Honestly, this would have been super confusing if the masks had worked with 2 Marcos and 2 Wistroms. Fun, probably, but the tension of not knowing if they've met at first and all the little delay tactics and sleight of hand. Ha, slight. It's actually pretty substantial. Anyway, it's all an adequate trade-off. Aaron Cross forgot what movie he was in. Oh, that's brutal.
Watch her.
Why me?
Because if I do, I'll kill her.
I guess blue isn't the warmest color.
James, now!
Also, comeuppance? Just because it's your job doesn't mean you get a pass. Have I mentioned how we really just need to be honest because Tom Cruise sprints like a champ? I love how they're using a natural occurrence in Dubai to build suspense. And then once they're in the storm, what a sequence, all built around lack of any of their senses. Ethan Hunt plus hanging on exterior of high-speed moving vehicle equals win. Ha! GPS chicken. Gotta give the bad guy some credit. He's like the Energizer Bunny. Lose is a 4-letter word to him. Okay, so that's a hard sell, but 2 things. Number 1, if you want something done right, Hendrix wasn't going to trust anyone else to get those codes in his hands. And number 2, if he went as himself, he'd be recognized, surveilled the entire time, and then quickly captured.
Let me see if I can put it another way.
Haha, outed by your own motor memory. This is just the weirdest misdirect with no payoff. You got Carl's brother Tony from Die Hard, aka Max's old bodyguard. You got The Mask, a very similar meeting, kept it all hush-hush multiple times throughout the movie, and then... The Fog? Vanessa was too busy, I assume? Win for great intentions in referencing Mission Impossible, but 2 wins off for leaving the build-up to Max in just to let us all down.
I was on a protection detail in Croatia, shadowing the assets, husband and wife. Local police found her body 3 days later. that Ethan was in custody for killing 6 Serbian nationals in cold blood.
So it's revealed in the end that it was all a ploy, and thank goodness. Seriously, she's not Newt. Don't spend most of 3 making us think she's dead to then have her alive in the end, only to kill her off screen. Also, I might add, making Ethan a rage murderer in the process. This hybrid beamer? Yeah, that's it.
You do make an impression.
Compliments.
Make sure all of them have a bottle to take home by the end of the night. Impressed yet?
Self-awareness. But I believe it. Anil Kapoor is the freaking Jack Bauer of India. I mean, really.
Jump.
Easy for you to say, Ethan, not like you've ever had to do some crazy jump stunt. Ha! And another callback to MI1 with the timing of that cutaway, just like poor Emilio.
Did you jump?
Should I not have jumped? Because I jumped!
I'm playing a hunch. Don't hit me.
Convenient hunch, Ethan. Convenient all around.
Hides are most subconscious of desire.
Self-restraint, because she could break it off pretty easily. And flirting. Suaveness? I can't dance out of my shoes like that. It's gotta count for something.
What the hell is that?
Hey, at least Brant gets to cool down a little. Now that's an Ethan Hunt move. Just when you thought the hybrid beamer couldn't get any cooler.
We're 3.5 minutes out.
Subtlety. I've got to give Josh Applebaum and Andre Nemec credit for this ending. Bird 2. Usually it's all about stopping the launch, but instead of the launch being the point of no return, now they need to stop the impact. It definitely ups the tension. And he didn't even have Benji's magnets to catch him. This has to be one of the most edge-of-your-seat finales. Cars and moving platforms all around, constant risk of getting crushed. I'm not giving him a self-sacrifice win because, nah. But I will say that's commitment to a cause. Although Ethan's pretty committed too. And uses some ingenuity. Insane ingenuity, but ingenuity nonetheless. Benji to the rescue.
Mission accomplished!
And Ethan will always remember the solution is having to hit the button harder to make it work.
So, we are not enemies.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You actually said that out loud. Mission accomplished.
Haha, good call to bring Luther back for a reality check.
I don't know how we ended up together. I'm glad we did.
It's true, actually. Other than Benji, he met Jane after the prison rescue, and Brant was just a passenger after the secretary was killed.
I'm in. Seriously, I mean, it's not as if any mission's gonna be rougher than the last one, is it?
Ha! Julia's alive.
How do you know she's dead?
There was a body.
Did you see it?
You killed those Serbians.
I had to get her back.
And there's your payoff for the convo earlier. When someone has a target, dead wife, 6 dead Serbians, they don't need to look any further.
Now an emerging terror organization known as the Syndicate.
Look at that, setting up the next film. I won't lie, I actually enjoyed that the second trilogy seems to have one solid through narrative. Ha, get it? He's a ghost. Protocol. So, apparently no one told Tom Cruise or Brad Bird or J.J. Abrams that this was a 4th movie in a franchise and it's supposed to suck. I feel like I remember people in 2006 saying Tom was probably too old to be jumping off buildings, and here it is 5 years later and Tom is still kicking butt. But this is the one that really shouldn't have worked, and there are a lot of people who have this at the top of their Mission Impossible ranking. I saw Ghost Protocol in theaters, IMAX to be precise, and man was the hype around the Burj Khalifa not unfounded. It would generally be a mistake to build a movie around one set piece, but it's become the thing to do for this franchise. To this film's credit, it's not the only thing going for it. In fact, it's not even my favorite thing. That said, there is something about the practical effects in this film that surpass a lot of what's come before. They built a huge set for the parking garage that Ethan and Hendrix were really bouncing around in. These explosions going off near Tom are real, and he really got yanked out of there pretty dang quick, and obviously Tom was actually on the outside of the Burj. No part of this film ever feels fake or less than full throttle. But one of the best and totally underplayed parts of Ghost Protocol is the bad guy and his plan. Philip Seymour Hoffman was a much more imposing presence and menacing villain, but Hendrix's plan and execution of that plan is pretty inspired. To boil it down as simply as possible, he basically tricked Russia into thinking IMF and the American government bombed the Kremlin so that when he shot off a nuke from Russia at the US, no one would question it, and the nuclear apocalypse would begin. He's not suave or some master manipulator. In fact, he's a bit of a blank slate. He's just determined and crazy. He's crazy.
May there be peace on Earth.
Though no crazier than, say, Thanos, and you all love him, this worship of the bomb all has roots in eugenics, and really it's right out of Hitler's playbook, granted a little less targeted. So he made for a unique villain, which unique was the right play after Philip Seymour Hoffman. But Ethan's still Ethan, risking his life and generally being one step ahead of the game. My favorite Ethan moment in this film is the argument before it's decided he needs to go scale the building. Almost like a joke with the audience about how each movie feels like it needs to top its previous installment. Like, is the audience really gonna buy this? I appreciate the self-aware nature of it all.
The countdown is not helping.
In fact, there's quite a bit of that. almost poking fun at all the perfect impervious spy gear with a moving retinal scanner on a train, or a way too easy way of ruining this deception, or the failing of the gloves, the self-destruct, the laser, mask maker, or best of all, Tom knowingly poking fun at the ridiculousness of it all coming down to a button that only works if 100 other things are in place. Even the rope was too short. But Tom brought it all back around to what Mission Impossible used to and should be.
The only thing that functioned properly on that mission was this team.
Also, I think Tom's running quota may have been upped again, and I'll be honest, Hendricks consistently outrunning him is the most unbelievable part of this film. Yeah, you heard me. That guy is always getting away. It was nice to see Simon Pegg get a bigger part to play, and his nervous comedic banter is a nice addition.
I thought you said the Kremlin. I thought you said the Kremlin.
Paula Patton was also fun on screen, even if she was reduced to the honeypot for the last mission. As good as she looks, let's just imagine Renner filling it out.
Next time, I gotta seduce the rich guy.
And poor Jeremy Renner. Always a sidekick, never a main spy. Still, there was something satisfying about realizing how capable he was. That look from Ethan. But most importantly, he's funny. I mean, he has his moments throughout the MCU, but this makes me want to see Tag, a statement that may age poorly.
All right, I'd be more worried about the heat. And then there's that. What heat?
All in all, Brad Bird really nailed it. And we were all nervous as it was his first venture into live action. But he didn't even take it easy. He filmed some of the most beautiful shots in the series in Dubai, and all in IMAX too. But when you have Tom Cruise, who is like a second director, lowercase d, producer with a capital P, these movies almost make themselves. I'll never stop being impressed by Tom's commitment to this franchise.
Need a name, folks. Can't track all these people at once.
Marty, for the love of God!
You got it?